Okay, a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, my buddy, who I made that bass for, my first electric guitar ever, his wife got a hold of me last week and asked me if I wanted to have the bass back. She said she was trying to make sure that all of his guitars got to good homes where they would be appreciated, and she didn't think anybody would appreciate it quite as much as I would. So, which was pretty special, but it's also kind of nice for it to come home. However, it's a stark reminder of how far I've come. It's like I said, it was never, definitely not my best work. This is it. Short scale, 30-inch bass. There's some things I'm very proud of about it, and there are some things that I not only would do different, I do different now. But that's it. Our test here told me that I think I'm onto something, which realistically I've set out to discover the perfect ergonomic shape, and basically just decided that Strandberg got it right. They I'm not quite ready to go down the rabbit hole of headless. Now, as a result, with a headless guitar where you've got the cutout behind the bridge for access to the tuners, you would lose this carve. And honestly, I think this is the one that's going to be the most use to me. I do see the benefit to the Strandberg cut, but, normally the way I sit, it winds up sitting there, and I like that cut. I'm still not super impressed with the way this looks, but the more I look at the drawing, the more I do like it. But I would like to tweak it a little bit. Okay, so you still need to work on the kiddo's guitar. The plan all along from the get-go was to not be in a big hurry on this. Just take our time and just get it right. And with 2 weeks until GGBO21 gets kicked off, my mind has been on coming up with the design for that. Just being ready to hit the ground running. I think our final shape is going to be something relatively similar to this. I did open up and sharpen this horn just a little bit to try to make it fit a little better. And I think it does. I don't know if that's enough. And the top horn looks goofy as hell, but I want it to be a joystick. I want it to be a comfortable handle. Even if it does look like, I don't know, a camel knob, or I don't know. What I'm shooting for here is something that is exceptionally comfortable to play, that I will happily sit and spend hours playing and not, grumble moving it around. Which brings me to another idea. One other thing I had, and I didn't realize Strandberg already did this too. A long time ago, back when I was making cigar box guitars, it was no truss rod, you had fewer strings, less tension, less worries, smaller, simpler project. I was doing, I'm not even sure what you would call it, an offset carve on the neck. I would, basically in deciding, before carving the neck, I'll usually draw a center line and base everything off of that. What I was doing is offsetting it heavier on the bass end at the nut and the treble end at the heel. So the carve would wind up flatter on the treble end at the nut and more round at the base end, and vice versa at this end. But it just made sense to me in that case, mostly because you were using a slide. But as it turns out, it seems like that kind of translates to, no slide. And as it turns out, I discovered last week, that's one of the things that Strandberg does as well. They use apparently a faceted carve that's not even rounded, which I'm not interested in doing that carve, but, basically doing that carve as you get to rounding. But ever since the cigar box guitar days, I've wanted to do that, but I was afraid that, it might introduce some kind of a twist to the neck, or it may cause the truss rod to, cause a little bit of a twist. I still don't know. I don't know if that would affect it or not. So I think I'm gonna try doing that offset carve on this project as well. Kind of goes in line with our goal of ergonomics. So even if it does look a little wacky, and the more I look at it, the more I like it. Even if it does look a little strange, I think we're inching up on a design that I'm gonna want to go with. I've talked way too long. I think I like this design. I'm trying to, think of some other things I can do to it, but there's not a lot. I've thought about extending this horn, moving this a little forward, because looking at it head on, it almost feels like, they're nowhere near symmetrical, but almost too close. It might be better if they were shifted a little more. I don't know. It also kind of feels like we've lost some length, and maybe shifting some of this, stretching it out a little bit might be a good thing, but I don't think so. I've played with that a little bit, and it doesn't seem to look right. What I do know, we really need a forward top horn with a little bit of a downward angle on it for the strap button, right? We need open access to high frets, of course. We need our leg cut for lap. I want this cut for the Strandberg type classical approach. I really want this cut for my personal, more or less classical-esque type of position. To me, most designs look a little bit better when the lower wing is a little diminutive compared to the top wing. It's good when the waist is relatively symmetrical, as well as the width of the wings. Not necessarily the horns, since this is a much smaller horn than this one. It's going to look a little wacky if this actually is as far away from the center as the big horn is. Another thing I always try to pay attention to is the taper. You can't have this just too much of a banana, so I may have to give up on my dreams of a handle. You don't want it. It's got to converge and not really, wind up with a thin point in there. That would really be weird. But another thing to consider with this type of thing, where we do have these there's not a round, there's a cut in. So we've got these sharp cuts and some roundness. So that kind of needs to be represented in some way with the horns so they don't look super out of place. So I tried to make the outer part of the horn a nice clean curve and then a cut into that, but still, giving it a little bit of an angle. I think the bottom is a little problematic. The taper as well. So if anything, I think maybe if this went a little deeper, maybe that would alleviate what I'm seeing. Because this, I don't know that that's really enough angle. More angle would look good. This is not a hard angle, but you want this one to be more. And right now it is, but the thing just looks small to me somehow. And I thought about squaring this off, but I think it looks wacky that way. And the only point of doing that is to have a place to put a strap button, and I really don't want to put a strap button below the center. So as much as I dislike the idea, I think the strap button's going to have to go on the back. I'm not a fan of that, but we got what we got. Alright, so another thing to consider is how it's going to sit. It could sit this way, but then both of these points are, something that has to be worried about. But the more I look at it, the more overall I really think I like the design. At this point, I know the features I want for functionality. I'm just trying to find the most aesthetic application of those features. And if we've got anything to worry about here, I think maybe it's the cutaway on this bottom horn. Or the bottom horn in general. On the face, this carve and this, and a little bit of this. This just for aesthetic purposes. I think that's all we really want to carve on the front. I've got this trim bridge laying around, and I had planned on using it for this project. It's a 2-point. I have not done a 2-point, so that'll be interesting. I'm thinking that I'm gonna stain it just natural brown, but I don't know yet. Because you get some super highly flamed maple, and it's a shame not to, stain it, but then you're sitting there thinking, what color? And I don't know. I'm thinking a natural brown. But anyway, I was looking around, found some strap buttons and some back ferrules, and with this design, one of the problems is there's no place to put a jack. So I'm afraid, as much as I dislike this, I may have to go ahead and use one of these, in which case I'm thinking I'm going to try to put it on the back. I don't want it on the front. I don't want it, period, but if I got to use it, I think I'm going to see if I can do it on the back. In the meantime, I've had this laying around for a long time, and I'm kind of scared to try to use it because I've never really put one to use before, but I have a Strat replacement roller nut. I'm thinking about doing this. This would be a major pain in the ass because the roller, where effectively your nut line is inside of this. So this would have to, I forgot the specs, but you got to dig a trench to put this into your fretboard, and it has to be so much forward from where the nut line used to be. So if this doesn't work, you are completely and utterly screwed. So I'm a little nervous about doing that, but I'm thinking about doing that. There's so many wacky ideas in this thing that I have never done before or only done once that I'm scared to put all this into a a project that we want to turn out well, and not a test project. Anyway, that I think is my plan for this wacky build. I'm not excited about it, but at the moment, sitting in every position, it seems like it could potentially be in the way, or I don't know. So I can't help but think if it's coming off of that point-ish, maybe it'll all work out. And it could easily swing around your strap button. And I'm not ruling out the possibility that we could actually get a strap button in there. I don't know. That would be good, and I'm afraid it will kind of interfere with the comfort of using. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm afraid we may have to go in the back, and if we do, that's where it's going to go. I think we have the better part of a plan put together now. So, thanks for joining me. If you like what we're doing, if you're digging it, like and subscribe. Catch you next time.